Hello everyone, Peanut and I welcome you to Mary's Little House. So happy to have you back. Oh, Peanut wants to go down. Anyway, this is Peanut. He's a good doggy. He's a wonderful doggy. He's one of Mary's little lamb's dog. Like the little lamb back here, well, he's like a little lamb too. And he's Mary's little lamb dog in Mary's little house, to which we invite you or welcome you by way of YouTube to Mary's Little House of Centerville. I'm so happy to visit with you. And today, today the priest went after at Mass, dismissing us in the new translation of the Roman Missal. They have all kinds of new ways of dismissing us to send us out into the world. And today the priest chose the one, go and proclaim the gospel. Go and proclaim the good news. I forgot exactly the words, but anyway, it's go and proclaim, because we are a missionary church. We're called. Jesus, before he ascended into heaven, mandated to all of us, to the apostles and through them to all of us, to go out and preach the good news to the whole world. And that's what I'm trying to do on this series. This is Missionaries All, number 9. And the day before yesterday was the 21st of March, was the feast of St. Eugene DeMazenod, the founder of the Missionary Oblates of Mary Immaculate. And they're a wonderful congregation, 4,000 priests and brothers all over the world preaching the good news of Jesus, the risen Lord, of the eternal Father sending Jesus to save us, that we have nothing to fear anymore, nothing to fear, no matter what happens to the economy or terrorism, or we put our trust in God, and we know God hears every cry, every prayer we utter. He hears and he answers in his own way, in his own time, in his infinite wisdom, in his infinite love. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about the wonderful missionary, Saint Eugene DeMazenod, the founder of the Missionary Oblates of Mary Immaculate. The homilist for the feast day, the feast day mass at the shrine, the Missionary Oblates of Mary Immaculate, run the shrine of Our Lady of the Snows here in Belleville, Illinois. Anyway, he talked about this wonderful gift, and I see it in the Oblates in their work, going to the marginalized, going to the most abandoned, the ones who are not being taken care of in the church or in the society. And that's what the Oblates do. That's their charism. Even their motto is the poor have the gospel preached to the poor have the gospel preached to them. From Isaiah the prophet, that Jesus himself read in the synagogue, saying that he's the one that is the fulfillment of Isaiah's prophecy. And Jesus himself went to the poor. The first people to go to the crib was the poor, was not the kings. Everyone, it's a universal call to rich and poor alike. But it was the little poor, the shepherds. The angels got them out of their sleep, and they rejoiced when they saw the little infant Jesus, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, in a straw feeding box, manger, so Jesus went to the poor first. It wasn't a castle that he was born in, with all kinds of servants and everything, running with hot water and everything. No, it was a stable for animals in the back of an inn in Bethlehem, in a little little town in Bethlehem. Oh, so I'm just so grateful to talk about this, or to encourage you. But let me just say, Saint Eugene, he was aristocratic. He had class, and he was well bred, as you said. But he went to the poor and talked in their own language, in their own patois, their own dialect. And that was for them in Marseille in southern France, one of the ancient ports of the Mediterranean. Marseille is where he lived, where he worked, and he went to and taught. He would go to the early masses that the poor had to work on Sunday. They had to go to their masters and mistresses as maids and butlers and all that servant stuff, and he would talk to them in their Provençal. That was their dialect. And he would talk to them in their own language, and he would tell them their dignity and their goodness before God. He would build them up, they who were so downtrodden and so used by many times people who took advantage of them. But he would talk to them. He would go to the prisons, talk about being on the margins. The prisons were terrible at that time. There wasn't prison reform like we have today. We still got a long ways to go. But we went to the prisons and took care of them. He went to the youth who had no one to instruct them, and he tried to, he formed organizations for them, and Catholic organizations to help them in their love for Jesus and their being part of the members of his body, the church. Yeah, it was marvelous. In fact, one Canadian bishop went and visited him when he was bishop of Marseille, Bishop Eugene DeMazenod, and he said, "I have visited Marseille, and I have seen Paul, Saint Paul, the greatest evangelist." And he thought that Bishop Eugene DeMazenod was so full of zeal, like Saint Paul was, for the missions. And he is. He's all over the world. There's wonderful oblates I know all over the world. There's one oblate that besides St. Eugene, the founder of the Missionary Oblates of Mary, there's another one I love so much. I am so impressed with him. And he lived the charism as all of them, but he was outstanding. His name is Father Marcelo Zago. He was the superior general for about 12 years or something. His terms. Anyway, he came to the United States and visited, and when he came, he was having a meeting of all the oblates in was in the central United States province. Well, here I was way up on the border of Canada and the United States, and just before I was getting in the car to go for the meeting, I got a call from one of my families, whose husband, the father of the children, had a terrible bulldozer accident. The bulldozer turned over and crushed him very badly, and he died there. Of course, he died, and so they called me right to the scene, even before the coroner and all that stuff could happen, and I got to be with the family. Well, of course, that kept me from being on time. So after I'd covered the family and we'd made arrangements for whatever, I started down to. I was way on the top of the state, and they were in the southern part of the state. Anyway, at this meeting in Buffalo, Minnesota. Anyway, I got there really late, and all the oblates were in this big room in the conference, and Father Marcelo Zago, the superior general of this great congregation of missionary priests and brothers, saw me coming in all haggard and rushing and late, L-A-T-E, and he left everyone, and met me at the door of this conference room. I was so touched how he shook hands with me and welcomed me. He had no idea why I was late. He just saw that I was late and all sort of not very well prepared to meet the superior general. Anyway, he came to me. That's the way he was. He was for the little people, and he was a missionary from head to the bottom of his feet. He was a missionary. He was zealous missionary. Everything he did, and all his. When I read him, and he was just a missionary. And I'm not the only one that said that. In fact, the Holy Father gave him he was a secretary for the Congregation for the Propagation of the Faith. That was the mission. That's the church's missionary arm to help all the missionaries all over the world, the missions all over the world. And he did delicate things. He was the most expert in Buddhism and Christian Catholic dialogue, and he was the authority on that. Because he spent first of his life in Laos and in Cambodia, I think in Laos. But anyway, first year in Laos. Anyway, the Buddhists, that's where the Buddhists are, and so he loved them, and he learned their theology. He even had a doctorate in Buddhism. Anyway, and so he helped the Holy Father organize the first world prayer for peace at Assisi. He took care of the Buddhists with lots of sensitivity, lots of protocol, lots of care of their culture and everything. He was wonderful. I love him so much. And now he died. He died very young. Some missionaries do. I think he burned himself out he became an archbishop secretary in the Vatican there. The Pope had such trust with him. I'm sure if he lived longer, he would probably be the prefect of that congregation of the missions of the church. Oh, I'm so grateful. So as you see, I know so many. Oh, excuse me, Peanut. Peanut, I clap my hands and he thinks something's wrong. It's okay, Peanut. Anyway, you okay, Peanut? You okay? Don't worry. Uh, anyway, Bishop Marcelo Zago, he's a wonderful. I hope he's someday brought to with all the other blesseds and saints, Saint Eugene, the founder of the Missionary Oblates and the blesseds. We have missionary. They have blesseds. Two of them in the church today, and other blesseds too, and martyrs too. I don't know all of them. They already have a lot on the calendar of the saints and blesseds. The Spanish martyrs too. I don't know how many of them oblates who died during the Spanish civil war, a war against the church, and very horrible persecution of the church. Oh, I am so happy for you. I'm so happy to be with you. I encourage you. Oh, a little flower. She's a co-patron. Here, let me pin it just a moment. Little flower here. She was going to North Vietnam, but she never made it. So for the plans changed, but she became the patroness of the missions, co-patroness with Saint Francis Xavier, by offering her prayers and sufferings for the missions, for the missionaries. She had two brothers. Most Carmelites sisters only have one brother missionary, priest in the missions, but she had two, and she encouraged them by her prayer, her letters, and oh, she was really neat. I'm reading one of the Father Maurice. I forgot his last name. Anyway, he was a missionary in the Orient somewhere. Anyway, she encouraged him, and really beautiful letters, and also by prayer. And she said this: our letters and stuff in another place. It's just not writing letters. It's backing up our words with prayer and sacrifice. And she lived that, and so much so that she became the patroness of the missions. And that's most of us. Most of us can't go to the missions, but we can support the missions, the missionary priests, brothers and sisters and deacons. We can support the catechists. We can support by our prayers and sacrifices and by our money. That we can be very generous, because the missionary oblates and all the missions, the many places are so poor. There's not much in the collection basket, so that they rely. It's always been that way. The mission sending countries support the missionaries. They're missionaries all over the world, and the gospel has been preached to the whole world, but continues to be preached. And there's in the missions there's this great many vocations, especially in Africa and Oceania. So the church is thriving in all these young churches and everything. And actually, they're coming back to us from Nigeria and Tanzania to help us. Who sent missionaries now? Those are coming back to serve us. So let us be good missionaries. Let us get in there and pray for the missions and offer our sacrifices, the daily irritations for the missions, and be generous with the missions for Mission Sunday or whatever way we can do help the missions. And our ministry, Mother of God, we're very much with the St. Eugene DeMazenod. Our foundress, Cynthia Louise Marie Rollahan, she went to the canonization of St. Eugene DeMazenod. She loved the Oblates. She loved their charism. And I feel, I always tell the Oblates when I talk to them, that we're a branch from the trunk of St. Eugene DeMazenod in a wonderful way. So we have in our second mission statement, our second thing is evangelization, to evangelization. So we are missionaries too in our own way as Mother of God ministry. And we want to be part of the church and do our part in spreading the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ. He's risen. He gives us all hope. He loves us. He loves us this much, offering himself on the cross for us and rising from the dead, so we have nothing to fear, people, nothing at all. God bless you.